So imagine this, a single threat group targeting government officials of more than 10 countries with both free and commodity rats that you can download for free. So that's not fiction, it's exactly what Silent Lynx APT is doing today. So in the next few minutes, we are going to break down how this group has evolved its tactics over the years, primarily targeting the Central Asian entities and what it means to every one of us. So before getting started, a little introduction about us. So I am Sathwik, working as a senior security researcher at Seqrite Labs Quick Heal for the past 4 years. So I'm part of the APT team tracking various targeted attacks, doing malware analysis, monitoring various dark web forums. And we also have with our colleague, Subhajeet.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining our talk. I am Subhajeet Singha from the same company, Seqrite, and I do threat research, a lot of reversing and a lot of info stealers and campaign hunting basically, and also do a lot of detection engineering part where my day-to-day job involves a lot of writing rules and stuff. So in this campaign, in this presentation, we'll talk about Silent Lynx, which we discovered back in the month of December 2024, and the campaign still goes live till date while we speak. Yeah, Sathu, you can take care.
So the agenda would be, firstly we'll introduce like who or what is Silent Lynx. So what is their current infection chain? What are their TTPs that we have observed during our campaign since last year and this year? And then look at the interesting email lures that they have sent along with the phishing email attachments, the decoys, look at their arsenal, and then finally dive into their infrastructure where they have used Telegram bots as C2 to send commands, and finally end it with the attribution. So we have observed 4 total campaigns during our hunt. So the first one we have named it as SPECA campaign. So the targeting based on this, we have seen that it is targeting entities as part of the SPECA program. So SPECA stands for Special Program for the Economies of Central Asia. So in this, we have seen our first campaign active in December of 2024, where they have targeted the National Bank of Kyrgyz Republic. So not only this, they have targeted various other government banks and think tanks, and primarily they have used Arsenal that they have pivoted newly, where they have used various C++ loaders, and they have embedded PowerShell scripts with base64 encoding. They have used Telegram bots as C2. Coming to the second campaign, that is the employee campaign. So here they have used various lures related to bonuses to employees of, again, the similar Ministry of Finance, again related to the Kyrgyz Republic. So here we have seen the same targeting of government banks, but here instead of the C++ loader, we have seen them loading directly the Golang-based reverse shell. Coming to the next 2 campaigns that we have recently found and analyzed, that even Group IB has also blogged about, is targeting of the Uzbekistan government, the railway entity, in November of 2024. And similarly, there is another campaign related to embassies. So targeting embassies in Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan and all other central region entities that we have observed. So here the arsenal is completely same. And when we have decoded like what are their TTPs, what is their arsenal, we have found various similar campaigns through the past year. So in 2021, firstly, we saw a report from Cyjax. So they have mentioned that this specific group or this specific campaign has been targeting entities in the EMEA region, in the APAC region with the credential harvesting team. So the targeting is again Central Asian entities, with Belarus, Ukraine and Uzbekistan being the most targeted. But even others like even Russia have been targeted among this specific campaign. In 2022, we have seen ESET naming this APT as Sturgeon Fisher, where they have again targeted Central Asia with similar TTPs, like using primarily MFA-based targeting, phishing lures related to various webmail entities. So here we have seen that they have started to use various commodity rats like Warzone rat. They have their own custom rat that they have been tracking as Rusty rat. And not only these commodity or custom, they have used open source stealer known as Stink Stealer and Reverse Shell. And continuing in the same 2022, in June, Cisco Talos has tracked another APT group that they have named as YoroTrooper, targeting similar regions, even the EU and the CIS-based regions, with specifically targeting the government and energy sectors. So here we have seen them, again, to use the same Stink Stealer, Warzone rat, but here they have shifted their initial access vector to use LNK and VHDX-based infection vectors. So the targeting is again almost same, where we have seen primary target to be Russia, Belarus, and even Azerbaijan. In 2023, they have started to target entities such as the hydro energy of Uzbekistan and even Tajikistan. So here they have shifted their TTPs from the initial LNK stage directly loading various HTA stages remotely, and they have started to use custom Python stages and the similar reverse shells that they have used previously, and they have also started to implement or weaponize meterpreter reverse shell. And then the same subsequently, Cisco Talos has blocked and linked this specific YoroTrooper to Kazakhstan, where they have mentioned that even the Cyjax block that was first seen in 2021, where they have used credential harvesting teams, the same harvesting sites were being used here, where the infrastructure was pivoted to Central Asian regions, and especially they have seen all the infrastructure from Azerbaijan, again targeting the similar entities from Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan. And in continuing in September, we have seen retooling where they have started to use Python-based Chrome credential stealers. They have started to pivot from Python to PowerShell and even Telegram APIs. So this is when we have first seen that they have started to use these so-called Telegram bots as C2. And again, they have started to pivot to custom malware such as Golang and Rust-based reverse shells. And then at the end of 2024, in November and December, we have observed the so-called the mentioned 4 campaigns. And continuing these campaigns into 2025, we have tracked this as Silent Lynx, where they have started to use ISO-based files, C++ loaders, and started to continue Golang, Telegram-based bots. So with a similar targeting focused on, again, Central Asia. So this is the infection chain that we have mentioned here across 2 specific campaigns. So both of them start with the usual phishing attachment with a RAR archive file, and then the first campaign is having an ISO file. So this ISO file is containing 2 files. One is the decoy file, and then there is a direct exe present. So there is no initial trigger as such here. The ISO is containing the exe directly. So once this exe is triggered, in the foreground you can see the decoy popping up, and then in the background you can see a PowerShell code being decoded and then finally connecting to the Telegram bot. So all the bot token IDs are present in this PowerShell script, which again connects back to the threat actor. So opposing to that, in the second campaign, we have seen similar RAR archive, but this is a password protected file, and even the password is present in the email attachment. And then similarly, we have seen the exe and PDF, and then this is connecting directly to the C2. So this is a simple Golang-based reverse shell connecting to the C2. And upon analyzing the Telegram bots and their chats, how they are sending the commands, we have uncovered newer infrastructure, like newer domains that they have been hosted, along with using Google Drive to host payloads, even Resox, the red teaming tool, and using Pastebin to host their PowerShell commands that are being downloaded onto the victim's machine has been observed through this infection chain. So now let's dive into the first campaign, where we have seen the first phishing email that was sent on 27th December 2024. So here they have mentioned the archive attachment, and you can see that the from address is actually a compromised email of the National Bank of Kyrgyz Republic. So this compromised email has been used to send this phishing email attachment, and we can see that after translating this is actually sent to the Ministry of Finance to verify all the documents that I have been sending. So this is the decoy, where you can observe that it is actually targeting the Kyrgyz, which is again part of the SPECA campaign, the SPECA program. And the theme is related to United Nations, a conference and an event related to the working group on trade that was being organized in Uzbekistan. So based on this lure and the targeting, we have confirmed that this is actually targeting the employees of these national banks, these government think tanks, and the ministry. Moving on to the second phishing email. So the same email that we have seen in the first campaign was used to trigger the second campaign. So it was sent on the 10th Jan of 2025. So here it was password protected. So the password, again, you can see it's mentioned here with the password. And similar targeting has been observed here. But here the actual theme is that it is actually sending out bonuses to employees of these so-called government organizations to check that if everything is correct or not. So this is the theme. And these are the decoys where you can see that it is the date has been as 2025, so the targeting is again confirmed with the so-called Ministry of Finance of the Kyrgyz Republic. And here you can see the document looks almost legitimate, But again, this is a completely decoy document which is being sent to the ministry. And here, these are the decoy files where you can mention that the exact amount that has been sent to all these bonuses to verify the employees. So even the name of the employees and the specific departments has been shared among these decoy documents. This is the decoy document that we have observed with the third campaign. So this is targeting the Uzbekistan Republic again. So this is the railways campaign that we have seen. So targeting both government and railway entities related to the Uzbekistan. So now Subhajeet will walk you over through the technical analysis of the arsenal and then how we have hunted their infrastructure.
Thank you, Sathwik. Looks good. Okay. So as we saw, there are four campaigns. The first campaign targeting Kyrgyzstan, government sector, be it finance. Second campaign targeting Bank of Kyrgyzstan. Third campaign targeting Uzbekistan Railways, as we saw in the previous decoy. And the fourth campaign, we couldn't present any decoy. It was just an EXE. It was uploaded from Turkmenistan. It was targeting government sector of Turkmenistan, basically. So in this entire part, the entire campaign and the contractors who are working behind this are not that advanced, to be honest. Now, I'll tell you why in the next slides. So initially in the first campaign, which was targeted towards SPECA, as my colleague mentioned. So upon looking into this, we found that there are like 3 files. Out of them, one which mentions that something like Xerox scan, something like that. This is a decoy based nomenclature. And the other one is a decoy, basically. And the third one also contains a bunch of decoys. So looking into C++ binary, we initially figured out it's C++ because, nowadays Rust, Golang, VLang, and all those, compile languages are quite in trend. So we thought of checking this, like, what's the language is written in, basically. So looking into that, we found that it's basically doing nothing but just encoded PowerShell blob, in the entire binary, basically. In the next part, we saw that it was just using create process API. It's quite famous in malware implants, like just spawning a new process, basically. So using create process API to spawn a new PowerShell process, and the arguments were basically the encoded blob, which was hard coded inside the binary. Okay. So after we tried to just decode the entire huge encoded blob in base64, we found out that this is basically a sort of Telegram. The PowerShell script is basically a Telegram bot which performs a lot of tasks, but we found that there are 2 interesting tasks. The first one is we classified it as invoke bot CMD and invoke bot download. So the bot commands, if you can see, that there are a bunch of Telegram API endpoints and a small bot token inside the script, basically. And the select bot commands invoke expression and invoke web request. And this is the entire beautified script from the PowerShell which we decoded, basically. So, looking into the second one and the first one, basically bot download. So this function was responsible for downloading interesting and suspicious files, like whatever the threat actor thought were interesting, from the victim's machine to their own, let's say, the Telegram botnet, or their own C2 server or something like that. So this had 3 features. Just give me a second. Yeah, some were sleep, and sleep just for just sleeping for for certain time period. And the next was CMD, just to spawn a new cmd.exe process, or basically in the simple terms the command prompt. And then the third is the download one, which is basically responsible for downloading suspicious and interesting files from the victim's computers. Okay, now talking about the second campaign, we saw this campaign, as my colleague described, that the mail which was responsible, the phishing mail was responsible for the second campaign, was basically password protected. And again, thanks to VT and our hunting, we found this sample. We did a lot of pivoting and stuff. So we found that in this time there were like two files. Out of them, one was a decoy, which we initially showed in the initial slides, and the latter one was the implant basically. So as I mentioned that Golang, Rust, and this compiled languages are quite in trend, so they went ahead with the Golang binaries basically. Yeah. So in the next, like while we were analyzing this, we saw that this is just a simple like what reverse shell, which again has like everything encoded in the hard coder on the binary itself. So it's quite like hasty work done in like in the small fragment of time just to let the campaign up and running and going. That's it. So the third campaign, which was targeting Uzbekistan railway sector, and luckily, I mean, it's an OPSEC blunder from the threat actors' perspective, to be honest, that they used the same implant which was being used in used towards Bank of Kazakhstan to, I mean, on that, I mean, that sample was, sorry, that the implant was used to, I mean, against the railways of Uzbekistan-based campaign, basically. So the fourth campaign, which I mentioned that we don't have a decoy for, it was targeting Turkmenistan, and the binary, like the name of the binary showed like letter from permanent Republic of Turkmenistan. So it was basically targeting embassies and related to Turkmenistan. And this is also the same. You see the same stuff. You have the encoded PowerShell blob inside and similar sleep and all those Telegram bots, and yeah. So in the next slide, I'm sorry, in the next slide, we decided to little bit of deep dive into the Telegram based bots. And so the threat actor, they were pretty much fan of naming the bots, Telegram bots, under various countries. Like this bot, which was used targeting Kyrgyzstan, was named as South Korea. And we did some lot of like little bit of tooling, like using some Node.json stuff, and we then decided to forward all the messages and everything which the threat actor ran down or used on the victim's machine. So you can see that there are various, who am I based commands from, which was run down from the Telegram botnet, and also ipconfig commands. And also for establishing persistence, we could see that there were some Russian messages which say the operation was successfully completed. I mean, the entire persistence stuff and downloading and registry based stuffs using some HKey based registry, which we see commonly in malware samples. So it was this tactics were used to establish persistence on the victim machine. And similarly, in the other case, we saw that the victim was related to Turkmenistan. As you can see, something related to plan of Turkmen embassy in the Kyrgyz Republic. So they were targeting Turkmenistan-based embassies in Kyrgyzstan. And also we saw that the threat actor was trying to download a lot of binaries and implants which are used in red team-based operations such as RE-SOCs and all those things basically. Yeah. So now coming to the attribution part, as my colleague mentioned that YoroTrooper, which was initially described, this was discovered, I'm sorry, by researchers at Cisco Talos. So the YoroTrooper was affiliated to Kazakhstan, looking into various OPSEC blunders and a lot of other things. And even in our case also, to all like lot of OPSEC blunders, we saw that the threat actor is connected towards Kazakhstan. And YoroTrooper has been active since 2022, but in our case, we saw that like a lot of new contractors have joined, and a lot of old members from YoroTrooper formed this new Silent Lynx, and this has been active from December 2024, 25, and even now also while I present this research. And in case of YoroTrooper, the goals were espionage, data theft to support state objectives, and victimology, again, European governing entities, and focusing on CIS-based nations. And notable TTPs in terms of YoroTrooper, we saw social engineering, the spear phishing stuff, and data exfil, like all interesting juicy information from the victim machine, and custom and commodity malware like RE-SOCs and all those open source red team tools. In our case also, it's quite similar. You can see that Silent Lynx has also been targeting Central Asian government, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and also in some cases we have seen that it has been targeting Pakistan and Myanmar also, thanks to the researchers at Group IB. And the TTPs are quite similar: social engineering, spear phishing, data exfil, and custom commodity malware, and some some implants they developed in hast, but quite poor, to be honest. And the arsenal in terms of YoroTrooper and Silent Lynx, which gives us a lot of more confidence in attributing them, is YoroTrooper and Silent Lynx. Both of them are quite, they're dependent on the LNK and PowerShell and RE-SOCs, Telegram botnets, basically. So here are a few things, and some more code-based artifacts which were left on those implants gave us an idea and confidence to attribute this Silent Lynx and YoroTrooper up to some extent. So the recent findings which we saw. So my colleague will take it here from here. Yes, sir.
So after discovery of campaigns starting in Jan 2024 and in 2025, we have seen newer campaigns continuing to April, May, and June, especially targeting Uzbekistan. So though we have been tracking the same findings, and additional details have been published recently by our friends at Group IB. So they have observed renewed activity in June of 2025, and they have targeted more than 35 government victims. So earlier we were they targeted around 10 government entities, especially in Central Asia, but they have expanded more and more. So here you can see they have targeted Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Pakistan, Kyrgyzstan, all those stans, and the Myanmar as well. So this has been completely related and attributed to YoroTrooper, and even Group IB has linked both YoroTrooper and Silent Lynx, confirming their operations in this specific neighborhood. And they have also found additional details. Though not much was revealed, they have identified two specific subgroups. So one is the Chinese speaking operators, and the second one is the Russian speaking operators. So these operators are actually controlling these infrastructure and all these entities, especially related to Kazakhstan state objectives that are helping them to carry out their espionage activities targeting these entities. So newer infrastructure and toolkits has been identified. So especially public exploits. So the recent and the older ones like Print Nightmare and all those exploits have been found on these specific attacker servers, especially in Azerbaijan. And not only the red teaming tools that we have identified previously, so newer penetration testing tools and even web panels that were actually found on various underground forums that have been actually bought by these operators, especially the Russian and Chinese, have been bought on these forums, and these web panels were being used to control all these victim machines. So as we have seen, the threat landscape will keep evolving, so must we. So these threat actors are strategic, persistent, and they have been active since 2021 and still very actively targeting these specific governments. So we must not only track these specific groups, we must continuously monitor their TTPs using specific hunting rules that we actually deploy on VT and various other threat hunting and infrastructure hunting platforms. So yeah, that's it. Thank you very much.